Hello and welcome to HyzerMedia's coverage of the third and final round of the Norse Gods Championship presented by Home Again Disc Golf. As always, thank you to our presenting sponsors, Cosmic Disc Golf, D-Town Disc Golf, and Reaper Disc Supply. I'm Nathan Johnson, joined in the booth today by Dylan Horst. How's it going, Dylan?
It's going well, Nathan. Excited to watch some more birdies. On our card today, we got Lucas Oberholtzer Hess shooting 24 under for the two rounds, shooting the hot 14 under the second round. Followed by Jesse Longenecker, negative 22, two behind, shooting minus 10, averaging, 10-15 rated golf, which is great. Matt Rosier, new on this card from the second round, shot a minus 12, 1031 rated second round. Then rounding us out, we got Zachary Tesone, minus 16, shot a minus 7. We're fortunate enough to stay with us today.
Should be an exciting finish as we start off here on hole one. It's a par 3, 260 feet, little uphill guy on a slope.
First off the tee, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, your reigning Norse Gods champion, Westside Disc sponsors. Put your hands together for Lucas Oberholtzer Hess.
Leading the card and the tournament. If you've watched HyzerMedia ever, you've probably seen him play. Lucas Oberholtzer Hess looking to close out this tournament for the second year in a row. Just going for the straight putter shot here on hole one.
Yeah, something fairly stable, kind of just hoping to drive it straight and then kind of be in the same angle as the hill. Pushes right up there. Very nice putt.
Has course record on this course last month ago. Disc Golf Open of Pennsylvania. He was the winner, MPO. Put your hands together. Jesse Longenecker.
Yeah, no intro needed. Eric said everything that needs to be said. We'll see if Jesse is able to repeat with another solid finish here at Klines run. He likes the flex forehand line here on hole one, and that looks absolutely perfect.
Coming in from Evans City, Pennsylvania. 24-time winner, quite a bit. Thanks for making the drive. Two-time Gifford Pinchot Classic champion. Put your hands together for Matt Rosier.
Yeah, Matt, very solid player. You'll see him throw a lot of smooth backhands, not too many sidearms, but you'll see a decent amount of thumbers off out of this guy. So, learn something nice and straight, maybe a little short, doesn't quite give it enough pace, puts himself inside circle two.
Last off the tee. 994 rated, I believe. Coming over from New Jersey. Put your hands together for Zachary Tesone.
We watched him in round two. Shot well enough to keep himself on this lead card. Zach Tesone, very solid player. Good forehand, good backhand. Opts for that flex forehand here on one. It's going to work back up the hill nicely, give himself a 20-footer for his birdie to start off this final round.
Yeah, and here we have Matt trying to convert on his circle two. It's a very direct putt, nice and floaty. A little bit right, but you'll see a lot of his putts today kind of just like little pop out of the wrist and then just pop straight and just very limited motion off of his arm.
Tough miss there from Lucas. Low left. Doesn't quite get it to stick. Not the way you'd like to start a final round of a tournament out here. But luckily it does stick. This can be a treacherous green if you hit the cage. You can get some bad rollaways. So one of those putts, if you're going to miss it, often better to airball than to draw some metal. Here's Zach. Oh, he's not able to connect on the birdie look either. Maybe some final round jitters from the group. Don't see that too often from these guys.
Yeah, not really. It seemed like the second round, or at least Zach and Lucas. I mean, it seemed like it started out a little slow, but they'll pick it up. They'll find their groove. And Jesse with the perfect birdie. Hole 2, par 3, 206 feet. Now, pace is what you need to worry about the most here. And also the hill just dives right. So you have to be very careful with your pace coming into the basket, because if you don't have the pace right, goes in a little too fast, can kick up and roll down the hill. It's a very, very steep slope. Jesse here trying to throw a nice forehand, kind of hit the grass, have the grass slow the disc down, and wow, what a perfect shot.
Yeah, that's super technical, right? Like throwing the flex out of the hand to get the disc to land a little softer, kind of matches the grade of the hill and just throws it absolutely perfectly. It's really great stuff. This is kind of a, flip a coin, cross your fingers type of shot, because that can happen real quick.
Yeah, it's just hitting the ground at the wrong angle. Kind of gets it a little bit too far, maybe a little too high. So when it hits the ground, it pops up and goes vertical. And then throwing something pretty stable is just going to kind of stay up in the air.
Yeah, I don't like this high spike shot. Like, obviously, there's a ton of airspace, right? You're almost always going to land it close to the basket. But like you said, yeah, when you go with that overstable disc nice and high, it's going to roll half the time, right? I kind of like the lower backhand shot with something maybe a little more neutral that stays on a little bit of hyzer, kind of lands a little softer. I think that's probably your best bet if you want to mitigate the ground play. Zach, a little lower. Let's see if he can make me look like a genius. Yeah, a little long, but it'll work.
Yeah, it was just a little too much pace on that one. Kind of hits right next to the basket, and that's one of the spots on this green where it's skippy.
Little
Yeah,
band.
Lucas just a little high there. Almost drops in though after hitting the band.
A little low from Matt. Fortunate to stay. Scary putt here now for Zach. Probably just around circle's edge.
It's a great line. I mean, pace was good. The line was good, just a little high. Didn't want to leave it short. So, I mean, that's kind of what you want kind of on here on this kind of putt, right? It's like as Lucas hits a dead center right there, you kind of want to build your confidence early on the putting green. As long as you hit a dead center, that'll kind of get you going.
Yeah, just make sure you commit. Jesse here, gonna have a tap in birdie. Just like that, the deficit is 0. He ties this up 2 holes in, so I think we're gonna be in for a battle here, folks. Should be an exciting round to watch. I'm excited.
I can't wait. Want to see more birdies.
More birdies coming here on hole 3, par 3, 222. We are playing the shorts here at Klines, the green layout. It's just a little turnover backhand or hyzer forehand. It's quite a ways uphill, so you got to make sure you're getting the disc moving right the whole way. Oftentimes you'll have players stall their disc out, and it kind of doesn't work all the way over there to the basket. But this looks like a nice line from Jesse.
I think it hit the last tree coming in and kicked backwards. So probably about a circle 2 putt kind of looks like from there. And you'll kind of notice it here with Klein's run. It's a lot of elevation. So you kind of have to be very prepared on, where your miss is. Because sometimes when you're not in the right spot, it's going to be pretty tough on your second shot, on your putt. As Lucas here, juices it a little far, just past Jesse. He's probably going to have a circle 2 putt slightly downhill.
Yeah, just too wide out of the hand. Never really had a chance to get back right enough. I do like this turnover backhand that Matt's going with. Gives the disc a little more time to work to the right. And as long as you give it the right angle, which he does there, thrown beautifully, and absolutely bases that one.
Yeah, his forehand's just tough. Like you said, it's hard enough to get it right, or it's hard to get it right enough. You almost need something that's not super overstable, but like semi-neutral that you can pop up flat, have it stall around the corner. It seemed like all 3 forehands there kind of made the same mistake, low and a little left, and didn't have enough time to work its way right.
Yeah, so some tricky downhill putts here coming up. Lucas will be the first to go. Call this a 50-footer. Yeah, just didn't quite have the commitment there. Kind of a death putt with the downhill, so Either want to fully commit to the mid run or fully commit to the layup. I don't know if those were intentional layups, but they ended up as those either way.
Yeah, I think it's hard to tell what the wind's doing out there. It seems like it's swirling a little bit, but the flag isn't really moving. Maybe that's kind of what they were worried about. It seemed like Zach's kind of stayed in the air, kind of floated a little bit.
Yeah, it might have been one of those putts you kind of just aim for the cage, and if you get the lift, you get the lift. If not, take your par, kind of move on. But either way, Matt's going to pick up a stroke on the card with a really nice, the only backhand of the group, results in the only birdie. So nicely done from him, trying to get himself back in this race for the win.
Yeah, definitely a good starting point. Hole 3, as we make our way to hole 4. Hole 4, par 3, 131 feet. So it seems like it's an up and over this little hill here with an elevated basket. So it seems like a very low ceiling. Got to make sure you push it pretty straight and then kind of get to the ground quick because there could be a lot of weird things that could happen as you're kind of going up and over that hill, especially with the wind kind of starting to swirl. Matt there pulls it a little right, hits one of the trees, probably puts himself maybe circle 2, just outside circle 2. So it's going to be a long effort there to try to attack an elevated basket.
Yeah, Jesse's going to opt for the forehand route, try to go out and around down the more traditional fairway. You see it for the long basket. Does get a little finish at the end. It's going to leave him with a 25-footer or so.
Yeah, being up on the hill is going to be good because he's going to be staring right at it on this elevated basket. And Lucas here trying to give it a little more height so it can go a little bit more right, and perfect. Have a nice little flip putt or turbo putt right in for the birdie.
Yeah, as you mentioned on the last hole, the kind of elevation, the hills, the tricky greens are a staple here at Klines Run. So anytime you can leave yourself with a stress-free par, or a birdie, I should say, it's nice to have. Zach kind of leaks that one a little nose up, a little high. It's going to leave him with a longer putt. See if Matt decides to give this a little floaty bid.
Ooh. It was a great effort. Great height, just a little bit left, but I mean, that's an amazing effort from there, from deep in circle 2. Zach here from circle's edge, perfect. Never a doubt in these prodigy baskets.
Yeah, hopefully no spit outs today. We saw a couple of pretty nasty ones in round 2. Jesse here with Lucas Park to just hold a share of the lead.
Never a doubt. Low and right into these prodigy baskets. Don't really have to worry about much there. Yeah, it's great because it keeps him tied up with Lucas and, keeping that momentum alive, right? Because Jesse's doing pretty well so far. I mean, 3 to the last 4. It's a great start for Jesse.
Yeah, really exactly how you'd want to start a final round like this. Looking to make up strokes early, hoping to continue that here on hole 5 is a par 3, 222 feet. A blind shot up and over this little hill. You're going to see most players just go nice wide hyzer. Distance control is the key here. See a lot of people end up short just because it is a blind shot and it plays quite a bit farther than 222.
Don't think you have to worry about much on that one from Jesse. Probably puts himself in the 5. So Lucas here, just trying to throw the same exact shot. Liked what Jesse was doing. Going to try to throw the same lines, same heights. Probably a little more power because he threw. Yeah, kind of pulls it a little bit right with a slammer. Needed to give it a little more power because it just doesn't have as much glide as Jesse's does, and kind of pulled it a little right.
Not technically the easiest hole in the course, only the 4th easiest at a 2.56 average, but definitely still feels like a must-get birdie. And Zach comes up a little short. Yeah, that's one of those. It feels great when you throw it and you see it off the tee, and just a little short. Hole plays a little farther than you'd think.
Yeah, it almost feels like one of those, you need at least one rep to figure out what the distance is. And then you can kind of just mirror it from there, because it's a lot more uphill than you think. As Matt right here kind of throws it a little short, but probably thought that he was, maybe a little short circle's edge, but kind of finds himself middle of circle 2.
Off there from Lucas, just never really had the height on that long bid. Matt now call this a 40-footer out in circle 2. Just undercommitted from him as well. Misses that one left.
Out to the ground quick though, so comeback's gonna be pretty easy. Gave himself an relatively safe bid. Zach here, little left side, but gives it the will to sneak over the rim and kind of skate around the edge of the basket. I mean, it's one of the most iconic views on the course, right? I mean, look at the background.
Yeah, super scenic. Got the Susquehanna in the background. Not too breezy today, it looks like, which is fortunate. This course can get pretty windy with the wind coming off the river. But yeah, this is the kind of hole you'd like to take a minute, take a look around.
Jesse rounding us out with another with the par. Or no, that was a birdie.
That was a birdie,
yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Gives him a 1-stroke lead.
Hole 6, par 3, 206 feet. So you do have to deal with a lot of the big mature trees on this fairway, right? There's a very specific gap you got to hit. If you want to throw the right-hand backhand, there is one final tree that kind of keeps you away from glory, per se. Some players, kind of try to throw that hyzer that Jesse was trying to throw. He pulled it a little bit too much and comes to the ground early. You have the direct line straight at the basket with one tree to stop you, or you can get a little sketchy and, bold and try to throw the forehand over the road, which is out of bounds.
Yeah, I think most of these guys are probably just going to opt for that wide hyzer that you mentioned. This is a little too wide. Because, yeah, there's no real reason to mess with that road that's out of bounds when you can pretty much guarantee yourself a par at worst if you opt for the wide hyzer route. And maybe if you pure it like Lucas is doing. Oh, no, not pure. A little early. If you do pure it, you can get yourself a nice bonus birdie at only 206. I think this is a little farther than 206, but not a must get, that's for sure.
Yeah, it plays a little bit uphill, and it's just I wouldn't say very technical, but it's like almost feels like a routine technical, if that makes sense. Feels like, a lot of your upshots, but it's hard to get there in one for the birdie. Matt there a little left kind of banks off one of the trees, kind of throwing the nice turnover. Yeah.
Nice smooth upshot there from Jesse, able to save the par. There's that thumber you talked about from Matt. Able to scoot it on up there to the green to save his par as well. Let's see a long bid here.
The last two about that, probably 80-footer uphill. He did get that good pop to try to give it a nice bid. Lucas underneath the basket. It's kind of hard to get a jump putt there from here. Let's see if Zach can give it a good bid like he did the second round.
Bit short. It'll be a routine par, and we'll see tap ins from the rest of the group. Yeah, like you said, it's just a lot of trees to miss on this one. You can't really see the gap very clearly from the tee, so it takes a little bit of luck to get all the way there. So no harm, no foul for most of the group, and these guys are going to be walking away with par frame. As we head into hole 7, is a par 3, 286, very downhill. You can either go with the straight backhand putter down the right side or the wide forehand down the left-hand side. It's a little easier to control the distance going that way. I would suspect we'll see 3 out of these 4 guys going for that route.
Yeah, Jesse here seems like he's going to throw a little bit of a turnover to kind of mitigate the amount of hook it comes when it comes back, so it doesn't come back at a huge angle. Kind of slows it down a little bit. Doesn't look like it gets the height to kind of get over that last little hump, but it seemed like the line was good, the pace was good, just needed a little more air.
It just came out a little low. See if Zach can make the correction here. Maybe a little overcorrection. Looks a bit high and inside, and yeah, he's going to come up short right with a very scary putt coming up.
Lucas here trying to throw the slammer down there. It's nice because the slammer doesn't have a lot of glide, has a decent amount of fade. Clip something coming in, but still have enough power to get too close to circle's edge. But that's a very terrifying putt with the right hand backhand kind of fading down the hill. It's terrifying.
Matt going to try to show us. Oh, is that a tilt or something? At least very overstable. Got to the ground very fast. Maybe a little too overstable. But I don't hate the
hard. It might have been a tilt. I think you're right.
Yeah, that's that scary putt you talked about. Just drifts down the hill, doesn't catch any metal. A little less scary here for Zach, but still far enough. Yeah, it doesn't really. Not messing with that one.
Yeah, like a lot of these putts are decent amount downhill. And this one's going to be a good statement putt for Lucas. I mean, being down 1.
Wow.
Perfect.
Yeah, huge statement putt there to make up. Well, at least temporarily make up a stroke on Jesse. Or yeah, it will be make up a stroke on Jesse. Here's Matt now to save his par. Went back uphill. Nice height on that one. Able to save it. But yeah, big momentum putt there, right? To get one back, start moving things in the right direction, build some confidence.
Zach here cleaning up the bar. Yeah, this is one of those that, yeah, the coverage doesn't do much justice on the elevation here. Oh, then Jesse here slips when he was trying to mark it. Group gave him the go ahead. Everything was fine. Hole 8, par 3, 357 feet. The drone is flying through the purest gap, where it's going to be a right-hand backhand that flips over through the gap, holds straight, and then kind of hyzers out at the end. You might see a couple people throw a huge hyzer down the right-hand side, but you do have to be careful of this road on the left. So anything on and across the road is out of bounds, which is why you will see people like Lucas here trying to throw the hyzer around all the trees, because you're fortunate enough to get past everything. You don't have to ever worry about the road, and then you put yourself in a good position to convert.
Yeah, it's definitely the safer play. Kind of almost guarantees a par by going for the wide route. It's hard to park it though. Usually you're going to end up somewhere in circle 2. This is the way to go if you want to get the birdie. Oh, as Jesse just needed a hair more left to right drift on that one. Doesn't quite get it. Does kick to the good side of the fairway though, so he should have a pretty straightforward up and down from there.
Yeah, might be able to give one of them like soft bids for the basket, but yeah, if it would just turned a little bit more home sweet home, and it would have been right underneath the basket, I can almost guarantee. And Zach here, a little more pure, gets a little more integrity and slows down. Very nice. Puts himself within 20, 25 feet. It's one of the better shots you'll see on this hole.
Yeah, really smooth. Great angle on it. Able to hold that Anheuser for most of the flight. Matt looking to do the same. This looks a little overturned. Yeah, it just catches that tree on the right-hand side. It's the tough part about this hole. You really need to hold the disc as straight as possible. You can't really get a lot of left to right movement, or you're going to catch those fairway trees. So Leaves himself here about 200 feet or so. Another thumber, maybe giving it a little bit of a bid, but comes up a bit deep. I'll have a 25-footer for par.
And Jesse here, long range, probably just putting it up there, getting somewhere close, right underneath the basket, conceding the par. It's a good par to get. It's not a bogey. You know, you're not really in position. A lot of weird things can happen on the green.
Lucas is starting to feel it now. Connects on that birdie from just outside the circle. Going to make up another stroke. And strokes on the field as well.
The last two holes aren't necessarily the easiest. He was able to convert on both of those. So momentum in his favor for sure. As Zach here, great birdie. Probably one of the closest shots all day, I can imagine.
I guarantee it was. Only 2 birdies on this hole on the day. We just saw both of them. So nicely done by those 2 gents.
Yeah, and Matt and Jesse, you know, just saving their pars. Nothing to be down about. Like you said, only 2 birdies, so strokes on folks. Getting a par, you know, you're one with the group. Didn't lose too much.
Yeah, as we jump into the final hole of the front 9, hole 9, par 3, 365. Another downhill hole. You'll see it, most players probably throwing some sort of flex forehand to beat this tree and get past the bushy tree up near the basket for a birdie putt. You may see just like kind of a slow turning backhand as well, but if you've got the forehand, I think that is your best bet.
And you do have to watch out for the road on the left. Most roads here are on and across are out of bounds. So that's why a decent amount of players will probably throw that forehand. It goes away from the road the whole time. Lucas there doesn't quite get the disc flat enough or throw something a little too stable that, you know, kind of hops up the hill. It's going to be a pretty tough putt from there with the one tree by the basket, but we'll see if, you know, Zach here can kind of make the adjustment on his shot.
It makes the same mistake Lucas does, a little too much hyzer. Oh, actually, that had plenty of speed on it, though. Able to skip under those trees and get him an open putt, I would think. But Jesse,
yeah, probably circle's edge, maybe a little longer.
Something like that. Jesse, you can see he's lining up that flex forehand shot. This is the way to park it, but that's way too much. Unless, yeah, just too much ante. Never has a chance to come back. Catches that late tree. It's going to be out of bounds pretty early as well. Probably looking at bogey at best from there. It's a mistake he just could not afford to make right now.
And here we have Matt taking the other option, throwing like the low backhand shot. It kind of just floats the whole way. Gives it a little too much and turns over and hits the ground a little too early, but puts himself circle 2. It's going to be really obstructed though, so I don't know how much of an opportunity he will have to birdie.
So you can see where Jesse went out there. Just has to pitch up for his bogey. Unfortunately, going to drop at least one more stroke to Lucas. Yeah, here's that putt Matt is going to be left with that you were talking about. Got the tree in the way. He's going to have to go like Sky Annie. I just didn't quite have enough juice.
Yeah, and then Lucas here, low ceiling. He might have a little gap through the trees, or
nah, those trees are so grabby. Like that's just, it's always a layup from there. Unless you get through like Zach did with the long birdie look. Didn't have the pop. Low left.
Matt here try to save his par. Ooh, strong right side, but it's stuck. It's Prodigy baskets. As long as you give the pace, it'll stay.
Yeah,
but...
sure. You can keep telling yourself that. No. Again, Jesse's going to settle here for a bogey. Pars for the rest of the group, kind of stumbling their way through this final hole of the front 9. Only 9 holes left. We kind of had a battle. Jesse kind of slipped up, dropped a few strokes here on the last couple holes to Lucas, so he's got himself a a 2-stroke lead, assuming that this short putt sticks, and it does. It's going to be a very interesting finish. See if Matt or Zach are able to make a push at this win as well. But we'll see. As we take a look here at our putt of the round contender, Lucas Oberholtzer Hess from circle 2, downhill, a death putt on the par 3 7th. Nicely done. Thank you to our supporting sponsors, the Norse Gods, as well as the Patreon family, for making this coverage possible. We got 9 more holes of this year's 2023 Norse Gods Championship, so make sure to catch us over there.